Thank you, everyone. Good evening. Good evening and welcome. This is the third concert of this week, the 6th or 7th of this summer season. This summer, 2024, is our 14th year with the Trinity Alps Chamber Music Festival. And yeah, good job. Good job, guys. This is only the second time we've played in this beautiful theater, so we're very happy to be here at the Arcata Playhouse. Thank you all so much for coming. I noticed some of you were actually at the concert yesterday. That is devotion. But we are going to reward you because the program is actually kind of pretty different than yesterday. Joining me on stage are three wonderful musicians. They have all been a part of the Trinity Alps Festival over the years at various times. As you know, the festival gives a little bit of a different look every time. We have different musicians who come and participate, and we put together different ensembles for musical projects. And so it's always a little bit of a different look, but these three should be familiar faces if you've been following us for long. You'll get to meet them a little bit more later on the program, but for now we're going to get started with a little bit of music by Mozart. Today's program, you'll notice, we had a hard time choosing what music to play this week because the problem was we had like 8 hours of music that was all our favorite music, right? And so how do you get 8 hours down to just one show? Well, what we did is we took all of these great pieces and we selected our favorite parts from each one. So we're going to start with this great quartet by Mozart, and we're going to give you the first movement of this amazing piece. This is the first movement of Mozart's Quartet in E flat. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. That was music of Mozart, of course. A nice fresh way to kick off the program. The next work on the program features my good friend James Keane. James and I met, about 15 years ago. We were both students at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music, and it's been a while. Welcome back, James.
Thank you. Hi, yeah, I've known Ian for 15 years now, and my first time in Arcata was 13 years ago, and I just look forward to coming here. Thank you so much for having us, and thank you to the Arcata Playhouse for having us as well.
The little duet that James and I are going to play is by the English composer Rebecca Clark. Musically, this is a long way from Mozart. It is much more of a modern, almost mystical take, the way she's able to conjure up all the sounds and harmonies. The piece is called Midsummer Moon, and it was rather accidental that we learned that we programmed this on tonight's concert. Tonight is the full moon, and it is pretty close to the middle of the summer. Midsummer Moon suggests a nocturne of sorts. Classical composers have for a long time done nocturnes, very intimate, kind of personal, very evocative examples of night music. And this, I think, is one of those. It also suggests, some kind of wizardry or witchcraft that might take place under a midsummer moon. That's just perhaps my own imagination speaking. See what you think about this wonderfully evocative and beautiful piece. This is Rebecca Clark. This is Midsummer Moon. Thank you very much. Now we welcome James back to the stage after having heard James there. Yeah, it's been an interesting week having two Jameses in the group. You know, rehearsals. Yeah, rehearsing all this hard music is tough enough, but when you don't know, when nobody knows who you're actually talking to, when you're saying, James, can you do this? Well. We're going to make a small change to the printed program. Instead of the Poulenc selection, we're going to turn back to the classics, to a work by Ludwig van Beethoven. James and I have played together for many years. The last time we played this before this festival might have been in France. Is that right?
Could have been.
Anyway, James is no stranger to this music festival and to Arcata. So welcome back to Arcata, James.
Thanks, Ian. I was thinking particularly about Arcata and how thankful I am that we're here. This week, I think you all, I think probably do know, but you live in such an amazing, special place. I mean, this North Coast has really been so great to us this week and, the other weeks that we've gotten to visit. And that is honestly one of the most fun things about traveling as a musician is that sometimes you get that little opportunity to reflect back the greatness of a place to the folks who live in there. But it is, music doesn't purely come out of nowhere, at least once, until we're able to hear it. And so we all have this love for the music, but then it really takes a time and a place for us to do that work of bringing it all together. And so what we're able to share with you tonight is the result of all this quality time that we've spent, living and working and rehearsing together. And being able to do it in Arcata is, I swear, it's coming out in the sound that you're hearing tonight. And in any case, as Ian mentioned, we're going to play one of my favorite pieces by Beethoven from his middle period. And I encourage you to listen to, just spend some time sending your ears around the ensemble. It is just two of us, but then the amount of things that Beethoven asks the two of us to do in this movement is really pretty fantastic. And so he seamlessly blends melodies, that start off in the cello part and end up in the piano, or they start off in the piano part and end up in the cello. And he makes it sound sometimes like there's so many more instruments playing than there actually are. But then, of course, he closes the loop successfully, too. And he brings us all together at the very end of the movement, with a final triumphant statement of the theme that you hear very close to the beginning, which I think is it's a good move, and it really it's just really a special piece of music. Ian, anything to add?
I think normally when we talk about Beethoven, one of the things he does so well is, he tells stories through his music, but it's not like a story that, where we can track the whole. He never can tell us what the story is, but the way he develops it is by kind of introducing us to characters, and then those characters, transforming and repeating and coming back again throughout the music, and so we get to recognize them, and sometimes they come in conflict with each other and so on. So while I can't really tell you what the story's about, that's up to all of us to figure out for ourselves, I can sort of introduce you to some of the characters. So we're going to play the last movement of this sonata, which is a lot of fun. There's a lot going on there. There's a little slow introduction, and then once we get to the main theme, the first character you meet in the main theme sounds like this. It sort of winds around itself like a worm, or up here you might say a banana slug going like that. And pay attention to that little banana slug melody that worms around itself, because that's going to be a big part of the story that's being told. The other motive isn't so much a melody as it is a stubborn, obsessive repetition. The other motive, quote unquote, I would say, is this. And there's just the idea of going bonk, 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 and repeating something. It really does become one of the characters of this piece, and it's kind of hilarious in the way that only Beethoven can be both dramatic and hilarious at the same time. This is great. So I hope you enjoy. This is the last movement, or the last two movements, depending on how you draw the lines, from Beethoven's Cello Sonata number 3 in A major, opus 69. Oh, I shouldn't have said that earlier. James said he couldn't stop thinking about banana slugs. They were just everywhere. I mean, we were hiking yesterday in the redwoods, and they were just everywhere. You know? Yeah, I think. Okay, a little bit of set change for this next one. This next one is a string trio. It does not involve me at all. This is a work that we've done before at the music festival, and I think these fellows have done it before as well. But yeah, it is a ton of fun, and it is worth a reprise, so I hope that you'll enjoy this. Joining us on the viola today is Mr. Stephen Fine. Stephen might win the award for having traveled farthest to be here today. He came from Gainesville, Florida. Yeah, bravo. Okay. But Stephen is no stranger to Northern California, to this music festival. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah. Hello, it's good to be back in Arcata. Thank you all for coming tonight. We're really excited to be playing this next piece. It makes us feel like we know how to fiddle. We often get the question, what's the difference between a violin or a viola and a fiddle? And we usually make jokes about how much beer a fiddle can hold versus a violin, but the real answer is that fiddling is an oral tradition. They learn it without reading music, and we are kind of bad at learning things just by hearing it a few times. So one of the really fun things about this piece is it turns us into amazing fiddlers by writing everything down for us. So we hope that you enjoy this. Ian is going to give you a bit of narration about this. This piece has a story to it, and he will read you that story for us.
All right, this piece is by John Mackey. It was written in 2004 as a commission. It was commissioned by the Vail Valley Music Festival in Vail, Colorado. The whole notion of chamber music festivals commissioning new music from composers, that is something that is very alive and well. In fact, this music festival commissioned a new piece last year from the composer Sam Ryder. You might remember Sam. He played here last year with us. He was the accordion player. And he wrote a wonderful piece for us called Hayam Palm, and we did the premiere back in April. If you want to know more about that, if you want to watch it, just find it on YouTube. Look up the Trinity Alps Festival Hayam Palm piece. It's a wonderful piece. Commissioning new music is an important part of what we do. You know, it's important to remember that at some point, you know, back in the 1800s, Beethoven was new music, right? So this piece by John Mackey is called Wrong Mountain Stomp. And he has a very extensive little program note about this fiddlin' little piece. And I'm going to read it to you as we go. This says, Wrong Mountain Stomp tells the story of Jenny, a young woman who has spent her entire life in the hills of Appalachia. Now, although Appalachia is beautiful, Jenny longs for something bigger. At the very least, she longs for bigger trees. Thus, she decides to pack her things and move to the beautiful coastal town of Arcata, California. The first movement is called Mama, I'm a-leavin'. Jenny, who has always lived at home, tells her mother that she's fed up in her small town with her small trees and she's up and leaving. Being a 17-year-old teenager, though, Jenny gets rather sassy with her mother. Some unfortunate things are said, and Jenny storms out. Movement 2 is next. It is called Billy, I'm Leaving. You see, Jenny has a serious boyfriend, Billy. Although she knows it will be painful, Jenny goes to Billy to tell him that she's a-leaving for California. Now, it breaks Jenny's heart to leave Billy, but Billy, who has always worn his emotions on his sleeve, has an even harder time when he hears the news. Now, in this movement, the role of Jenny is played by the violin, and the role of Billy is played by the cello. And their conversation, if you listen carefully, you can hear their conversation play out. And just listen and see which one of them is more upset about this breakup. The third and final movement is called This Train's A-Leavin'. With her bags packed, Jenny goes to the train station and boards the train for Arcata. All aboard, calls the conductor, 'cause this train's a-leavin'. All right, thank you very much. We're going to take a short intermission now. While you are intermissing, I want you to take a look at some of the artwork that we brought with us this week. You may have noticed our poster designs have these beautiful images of the string instruments, the cello, the violin, the viola. We have the original piece that is based on. It was made by a woodworking artist in Weaverville, Jerry Cousins. And Jerry has donated that piece to the music festival, so it is there for you to enjoy out in the lobby. We also brought one of Jerry's music stands that he made for us many times ago. He uses a type of inlay, wood inlay called marquetry, and it's just amazing to look at. Also, if you are the kind of person who likes supporting chamber music and also likes art like that, there is a silent auction going on, so you can actually bid on that. That wonderful piece. And what do you know? You could support chamber music. You can help us commission the next fiddly music like that, and go home with something nice too. So we're going to take a 5-minute break for the next 10 minutes, so we'll see you in 15 or so, yeah? Thank you very much. For the second half, these first three works are all trios, and then we'll finish with a little more Mozart with the quartet. The first of these trios is from Beethoven's Opus 70, number 2, the trio in E-flat major. Like the cello sonata, he wrote this piece in 1808. That was a pretty tough year for Beethoven. By that time, he, I think, would have been almost completely deaf. He had been progressively losing his hearing for probably about the last decade. And with that comes sort of grappling with what it means to be, one of the world's great musicians and to lose your hearing. That was very, very hard on Beethoven. And the fact that he was able to sort of process that and get through it, and not only that, but write some of his best music after going through that is just, it's never not going to be amazing to me, just Beethoven's whole story. Anyway, like the cello sonata we heard, this is a relatively upbeat and easygoing piece of music. Beethoven occasionally did turn dark in his drama, but a lot of pieces in this are still relatively positive and have a sort of a triumphant or even heroic kind of style. This first movement, again, I'll introduce you to some of the characters that are involved, that you'll be introduced to, and that will go back and forth with this music. The first one, again, is kind of a little worm-like figure. We hear it first in the cello, but it gets passed around all of us. Just stepping down, stepping up, and that seems like a simple idea, but wait until it goes on and on and on. It's kind of amazing. And then once we stay in that tightly coiled world of stepping down and stepping up and that kind of concentrated atmosphere, Beethoven finally breaks out of that with the main theme of the fast part, and that has this very exuberant kind of way of reaching up, and James, you can... Yeah, and especially that idea of reaching up and then reaching up even higher, that becomes one of the other great themes, one of the other great characters in this piece. Like the sonata you heard earlier, Beethoven is kind of the master at both, for us, both highlighting one instrument at a time and passing that around, and also channeling all three of us to create an energy together. So I hope you enjoy this as much as we are going to enjoy it. This is the first movement of Beethoven's Opus 70, number 2. The next piece we'll play is by the Russian composer Anton Arensky. This is from his trio. This is one of the middle movements, and it's the slow movement. It has a little subtitle to it. It's called an elegy. And you know, the idea of composers writing a musical elegy, a musical remembrance of someone, you know, there is quite some tradition in that. And in this case, you know, like, you know, I guess every musical elegy is a little different, just the way that every remembrance of every person can be different. Many musical elegies take a kind of form where there is, the mournful part is, you know, the sadness is how it starts. But then as it goes, it finds more joy in the memories of, you know, whoever we've lost. And so there's often a moment in these elegies where the music really lifts up and transcends. And the way that composers can turn those corners, I think, is just really beautiful. So I hope you enjoy this. This is the elegy from Anton Arensky's piano trio. Thank you. We'll follow this with a work by the Czech composer Bedřich Smetana. This is, often when a composer writes a longer work like a trio that has several different movements to it, several different chapters to the story, there's a bit of a tradition of, the opening movement has this liveliness and this the juggling of themes and so on. There's a slow movement. There's often a light-hearted scherzo, a dance-like movement, and then a finale. In this one by Smetana, it's almost like he couldn't decide if he wanted one of these scherzos or a slow movement or what. This one kind of veers between several different styles of music as it goes on. So it's like the best of all of the worlds. It's like three pieces rolled into one. So we hope you enjoy this. This is from Bedřich Smetana's Trio in G minor. Thank you very much. Welcome back, Stephen. We've missed you. We've so enjoyed, we've spent this whole week on this little retreat. We drove up to Arcata on Sunday, a week ago. And we spent this whole week learning all this music. James came from New York, Stephen came from Florida. We came together, and it's been just a wonderful experience to do this. I mean, this music festival, it was started with this kind of twin missions. The one mission is, of course, to present concerts for communities like this. The other one is really to allow musicians to get together to do this kind of work. And we've really, really, really enjoyed it, and we've enjoyed this beautiful part of the world as well. You've probably noticed this year, as every year, our concerts, we do not sell tickets to our shows. Instead of setting a ticket price and asking everyone to pay at the door, instead we make sure that our concerts are open to the public and everyone is welcome. And then we say, there is this jar, this donation jar. The suggested donation is the way that we have been keeping this festival going for 14 years now. And it kind of amazes me that this anti-capitalist movement, oh, look at that, what a nice jar. Oh, thank you. I call your attention to this jar because it is really important that everyone takes just a moment and consider, really what this is worth to you to have this in your community and what you can do to really support us. If you don't have cash for the jar, we did spend a wonderful week staying with our hosts here, here at Folklife Farm. So thank you to Folklife Farm for putting us up. It's been a really wonderful time. If you want to sponsor a meal sometime, you can do that also. You can sponsor a rehearsal and have these people in your living room, rehearsing music. But really, the jar is the jar is where it's at. If you're tuning into our live stream, you can donate easily on our website, Trinity Alps chambermusicfestival.org. This money goes to, creating these residencies, to paying for venues like this, to printing the programs you've got, and especially to paying our musicians so that they can have a wonderful, fulfilling lifestyle. You notice that James lost some bow hair on his cello there, so think about visiting the jar again. His bow hair needs a little love. The jar will be by the exit. It's going to be very strategically placed in case you need it. The last piece on the program brings us back to where we started with the music of Mozart. Mozart wrote 2 of these quartets for this combination of instruments, and they're both some of his best works of chamber music. We're going to play the finale from his his piano quartet in G minor. But do not fear, by this time in the music, he has left G minor behind. This is a resolved work of comedy, and it is fully in the key of G major. It is a good party piece to end on. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we hope you enjoy a little more music by Mozart.
One more time for Ian.
Thank you very much. We look forward to the next time. Until then, everyone, be well, stay healthy. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Which one? Yeah, I go a couple times a year to New York. Oh, good. But I have to go to Connecticut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Jersey City. That's right. Actually.
Okay, cool. Thank you. It was really wonderful these last 2 days.
Thank you.
Love you.
I remember your face. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
I'm Ruth.
Oh, James.
Yes, I know. Yes. Okay.